So now we're going to move on to talking about, and I'd like to introduce you to the 5 essential elements. So this is evidence-informed essential elements where we know from evidence that people recover better in the long term after an event when they have a sense of these elements, have a sense of safety, calm, connected, self-help, and hope. So I'm going to talk to this specifically, again, giving you some examples relating to COVID-19. So here you have them there. So these examples are the tools, really useful in any context: safety, calm, connected, self-help, and hope. So they're great for ourselves and great when we're supporting and providing PFA for someone. So here are some examples: giving people a sense of safety. So right now, it's what can they do to give them to try and keep as safe as possible and yourself. So it's all those washing your hands, physically staying distance at 2 meters away. If they're feeling unwell, calling the health line, knowing what the signs and symptoms of COVID-19 are so that they could recognize them. Following advice from the government, following the website, and from the Ministry of Health. And all those things are maybe going to give us a sense of safety, that we're going to be able to keep our family and whānau safe, colleagues safe, our community and country safe. Giving people a sense of calm. Now, when you're providing PFA, of course, that's going to be within your body language, in your tone of voice, in the speed within which you're speaking, but also it's talking to them when they're sharing some information about you and reminding them that whatever they're experiencing and they're feeling is a normal reaction. This is a really abnormal situation right now. So normalizing what they're feeling and experiencing is something that will also help them feel calm. Connecting in whatever way that we can. We know it's different. We have to be a bit clever how we're doing that these days. But it is so important to stay connected, to connect with the people socially, for support, for work, for whatever you need it to be. It's paramount. And so trying to get people to do it, it could be teaching them, it could be trying to get them to access to something, whatever it is, within the realms of our bubbles and our safety, because remember, we want to keep that sense of safety. It's connecting. Another key thing that we want people to do is self-help. Start doing things for themselves, to help them, to make them feel better, to do the things that they need to do to process stuff. Because right now there is so much that is out of our control. And it may seem really overwhelming at times, particularly when we're feeling a bit down, we're a bit over it. Things can get a bit on top of us. And then all those things that we just feel more and more out of control. So we want to try and flip it and flip that thinking so that let's see, what can I control? What things can I focus on? And that's something for ourselves, as I've said, and something that we could maybe talk to others about. Keeping a routine. Because maybe some of us are at home all day, and that's a really unusual and different situation to be in. And so getting up, getting dressed, having your breakfast, doing some form of exercise, if these are the things that you normally do, then we're wanting you to try and continue to doing, albeit within that safety bubble and within the rules. It doesn't mean that at 8:27 you need to do something, then at 9:05 you need to do something and be that strict, because, a lot of people don't like to operate like that. But it's just thinking about the day and what things that you can do. Using the 5 Ways to Wellbeing, a fantastic tool. If you're unfamiliar with them, the Mental Health Foundation, great website, All Right campaign. And these are ways to remind us of things to do for us to stay well, things to enjoy. And it's like, take notice, give, keep learning. It doesn't need to be huge amounts of time. It doesn't need to cost any money. But it's really important, particularly right now, that we do stuff that we love to do that is positive. Hope. Getting onto all those good news websites, all those other things that you maybe enjoyed looking at. watching a great movie, reading a good book, having a good dance. It all just makes us feel a little bit better for that moment and may be able just to carry on and deal with the next wee while. And I love this little idea down here. Have 19 minutes every hour when you don't talk about COVID-19. I misread it one day and I said 19 hours every day. Well, for some, that might be a really good idea. So here what we've got, you can see a totally empty slide. And so I'd really like you to think about what you can be doing and what you could encourage others to be doing within your maybe workplace, working from home, your work friends, family, whānau, in using these 5 elements to de-stress, to try and improve your well-being. So now what I'm going to go on to talk about is these 3 action principles. Now this is sort of a framework where how PFA has been packaged with look, listen and link. And so I'm going to go through some of these now with you. So look. 3 key messages about looking. It's all about checking our own safety, checking urgent basic needs, checking for serious distress reactions. Now, what you may also notice is that up in the top corner, we've got the elements, how they connect and relate to the look action principle. So, following the rules, it's very similar to that element that we talked about. Following those safe isolation rules, stay in your bubbles, washing your hands, the physical distances, all the stuff that we can do to try and keep ourselves and therefore other people safe. Urgent basic needs, now that could be medications, that could be groceries and food, it could be money, and this is checking up with people, finding out what their needs are and maybe helping them navigate what they need to do. And checking for serious distress reactions. Well, there are 60 typical short-term reactions. 60. It's quite amazing, isn't it? The Ministry of Health Framework for Psychosocial Support in Emergencies. Now, this was in 2006, this report was done. And they list over 60 short-term distress responses. And they've sort of packaged them under emotional, physical, and behavioural. But goodness me, 60. And every single one of those is a perfectly normal distress response. So this is where we just reminding people that maybe you are seeing someone who's angry, loud, obnoxious, argumentative. You could have equally someone here who's just crying and screaming and sobbing, and you could have someone else here who's withdrawn, quiet, physically shaking, not even able to speak. Every single one of those is a normal response. And there's just so many of them. So the point of this is just to being aware that it doesn't mean that that angry person or that person who's withdrawn or that person who's crying, that they're more distressed than the other. It's not like that. They're just showing it in different ways. And it will all depend on that adrenaline response. All these factors are going to depend on how we are showing that distress response.